Hey, I want to welcome you to Inside My Mind. This is Adam Torres, and I'm your host. Today is Christmas, and I got this idea for a show actually today. I woke up, I looked at my calendar, I noticed someone had booked a podcast interview. My first thought was, this has to be a mistake. I mean, come on, Christmas, who's going to book a podcast interview on Christmas Day? I assumed it was an error, and I was ready to send a quick email to help them reschedule. So I opened up my calendar, looked at the Calendly, all that good stuff, and I started reading more closely. It looks like this interview is part of our American Film Market series, and that's where I interview filmmakers and creatives who attended the American Film Market in Century City or Los Angeles, California. This series it's been very successful. I've interviewed filmmakers from all over the world. It's incredible stories, incredible people. I mean, just the resiliency of filmmakers and Hollywood. I mean, it just blows my mind. As I'm reading through the Calendly intake form, I noticed something at the bottom. There's a little small section. It normally asks anything else we should know, and that's where people can put, other comments, other things they want me to know as I review and prepare for the interview that I'll have with them. Now, in this particular case, the gentleman who booked the interview, he wrote that his wife had passed away 7 months ago today. Now, that obviously stopped me in my tracks. And obviously, I didn't send the email. It stopped me for a couple reasons. First, I knew immediately that this interview had been intentionally scheduled for December 25th. This wasn't an accident or like a mistake in booking or anything like that. Second, I knew that there was absolutely no chance that I was going to reschedule on him. Obviously, he'd planned this and he wanted to share, and obviously I want to be there for him. So we did the interview. It went great. He talked about his upcoming film projects. He talked about plans for the future. He even shared his story, and he talked about when I asked him how he got into film. I was kind of shocked to hear he said that his wife had dragged him into the film business. And again, she's no longer with us, but she dragged him into the film business, and he helped her finish some projects. It was just this amazing story. Afterward, I called my good buddy Chris, and we were talking about it, and I started to think about something bigger. I mean, just it kind of took me back in time. I don't know if anybody has ever had that experience. Something's happening to them, and it causes them to pause, and now they got to look back, and maybe they reflect on when they were younger and other things that happened. So I was thinking about that reflection. It took me back to really my early 20s and thinking about the people I spoke to and thinking about people during the holidays and how they want a sense of connection. People want to be heard. And sometimes they just want to talk. So back in my 20s, even then, I always worked on holidays. So I think about like Christmas Eve, Christmas night, Thanksgiving, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It really didn't matter. Wherever I was working, I always volunteered every time. And part of it was practical. Obviously, I was a young guy and I wanted to make some money. So I wasn't exactly doing it for free. Maybe I was making double or even triple time for working on those particular shifts. So again, I wanted to make some money. But another part of it was simple. I did have another motive. I did want people with families and kids and things like that to be able to go home and spend that time with them. So if you called, for example, at one point I worked at Charles Schwab out in Scottsdale, and if you called back in the day on Christmas or Thanksgiving or New Year's Eve, I might have been the one answering the phone. And here's what surprised me. People still called, a lot of people. Some were lonely, some were extremely wealthy, some had lived very long lives. And many of them had, and this is the interesting thing about when you live a very long life, many of them had outlived their friends. Some had lost spouses, some had lost children, some were living in, incredible wealth, some at penthouse apartments overlooking Fifth Ave in New York. Obviously, some of these people, money clearly wasn't an issue. Yet they called in anyway. They're calling in an 800 number essentially, and they're talking to me. On a time when, most are thinking about maybe spending time with their family or otherwise. Sometimes those calls lasted an hour, sometimes longer. Sometimes they stretched late into the night. And really during those conversations, they taught me things I didn't fully understand at the time, but I do understand now. One thing was always clear, and that was you can't take it with you. It sounds cliche, maybe even obvious, but at that stage of life, money didn't matter the way people think it does. What mattered was purpose, it was connection, how you show up, waking up with a reason, feeling useful, feeling like you still had worth, feeling like your time on this planet mattered. That's what stayed with me. So when I think about that Christmas interview, I don't pretend that I made some huge like life-changing difference for that gentleman that I had on the show. I don't really know that. I hope I did. I hope I served some purpose. But I do know this. He heard a friendly voice. He had a moment of connection. He had a space to talk about his wife, his work, and his future. Maybe that 10 to 15-minute interview, it gave him a brief reprieve during his first Christmas without her. Maybe it gave him a place to honor her, to speak about what she meant to him, and to remember why he keeps going. As we head toward 2026, that's what I find myself reflecting on. How we show up for people, how easy it is to underestimate the value we bring to someone else's life. How inconvenient or seemingly inconvenient moments are sometimes the ones that matter most. I could have sent a quick email, by the way. Like looking back, I could have sent a quick email and rescheduled it. Told them, hey, I didn't know it was Christmas. Made an error in my schedule, but I didn't. And that interview is what sparked me to launch this show and this side of sharing what I go through to hopefully give you an insight and hopefully some inspiration. It's what made me want to share these experiences more openly so that maybe someone else that's listening to this or reading this, if you're on the website, pauses long enough to reflect on how they can show up for others.